Hello, welcome to the Kitchen Spy. My name is Kate and this video is a recipe for Chinese style beef. I don't pretend that this is a particularly authentic Chinese meal, but it is absolutely delicious and has all of the flavours that we love about Chinese food in it. What makes it even better is that it cooks long and slow in the oven, so there's a bit of prep up front and then you can leave it for a couple of hours. So it's a perfect dish to do when you've got people coming round for dinner. So we'll move on into the ingredients first of all, and then we'll go through the method. Okay, so here are the ingredients. We've got 2 tablespoons of plain flour or all-purpose flour with salt and pepper, 3 tablespoons of dry sherry, or you can use Chinese cooking wine, but I can't because it's got wheat in it. 3 tablespoons of dark soy sauce, and for this recipe I'm using gluten-free. We've got 2 star anise and a teaspoon of Chinese 5-spice, 6 cloves of garlic which have been sliced, and 1 big fat red chilli chopped finely, a tablespoon of muscovado sugar, about 1.5 inches of ginger. I've macerated it on this plate, which is an absolute godsend. It's a really good way to prepare ginger and garlic and nutmeg actually. Then I've got a whole bunch of spring onions, or scallions I think they are in the US, but you can let me know if I've got that wrong. And here we've got 800 grams of beef, or about 1 3/4 pounds. I've got 500 millilitres of beef stock and olive oil. And so we go over to the pan, and into the pan we add 2 tablespoons of olive oil. We will use a bit more oil later on when we're browning the meat, but for now, when we're adding the flavours, it's just 2 tablespoons. If you wanted to make this less calorific, you could of course use fry light. So I'm adding here the chilli and the garlic. You can add as much chilli as you want to. I really like chilli, and so I've added quite a lot. Then we pop in the spring onions or scallions, and then finally the ginger. And the ginger is on this plate, and you can use like a little brush to get it off. Make sure you get everything off. It's a really useful kitchen tool actually. We need to stir fry this for about 2, 3, maybe 4 minutes at the most, and then once it's done we need to transfer it to a little bowl or another plate whilst we brown the meat. So using the same pan, I'm adding 1 more tablespoon of oil, and this will help us to start browning the meat, which I've now tossed into the plain flour or all-purpose flour, and as you can see all of the meat pieces are coated in the flour mix. So making sure that you do this in batches. You don't want to overcrowd the pan because otherwise the meat will never fry off properly. What this does is it protects the meat during the long slow cooking process, but also the flour adds a thickness to the sauce which makes it really good to eat. So I'm just going to do this in maybe 2 or 3 batches, as many as it takes, but it's worth being patient over doing this because this really again adds lots of flavour. As we go through this process, you'll see that we're getting those crusty bits on the bottom of the pan again, and that's absolutely fine and to be encouraged actually, because again that adds to the flavour profile, and there's no worries about it. When we add the liquid, that will all just come up into the flavours and it will be absolutely delicious. So browning the meat in batches, just making sure that in between each batch you pop it onto another plate and then just carry on with the others. So I think it took 3 batches for me to finish browning all of the meat, and as you can see this is me just finishing my last batch. And the next thing we're going to do is add some of the spices and the rest of the ingredients. So I'm going to add now the star anise and the Chinese 5-spice powder and just mix that up. It looks a bit unappetizing at this point, but it will be fine. Then I'm adding back into the pan the spring onion, chili, ginger and garlic mix, stirring that all around to make sure that it picks up the flavour of the 5-spice and the star anise that we put in earlier. Then we're going to put the sugar in next. This is muscovado sugar, as I said earlier, but you can actually use any type of sugar. I do think it's worth having it though, because it's definitely adds to the flavour. And then we're popping the meat back in, the browned meat and any juices that might be on the plate. Again, mixing everything around to make sure that we're picking up all of the flavours. Then we're adding the liquid elements of the dish, and the first thing I'm going to add is the sherry. So I've got dry sherry, but you can use Chinese cooking wine if you've got that. I can't because I need this dish to be gluten free and it's got wheat in it. So as you can see, the sherry is starting to bring the brownness up from the bottom of the pan, and as we add further liquid, that will just continue and make the sauce really flavoursome. So I'm going to add the stock now, and this is 500 ml of beef stock. And just pop that in and just make sure that we're stirring right round the bottom of the pan and getting up all of those crusty flavour pieces, and then the soy sauce. This is gluten-free soy sauce, but you can use any dark soy sauce. You just need now to make sure that everything is thoroughly combined. We'll bring it to the boil and we'll put it in the oven for 2 hours on gas mark 2, which is 150C and 300F. So I'm just popping the lid on and we'll come back and have a look at it after an hour. So here we are after an hour, taking the lid off very carefully because it's hot, it's been in the oven. You can see that the sauce is starting to look more like a finished dish now, and that there's a kind of tide mark around the edge of the pan, and I'm just going to scrape some of that flavour back down. Then I'm going to put the lid back on and pop it back into the oven for the last hour. And here we are. It's all finished. It smells absolutely delicious, and the sauce is really thick, as you can see there. You can see how gorgeous that's going to be to eat. Look how the sauce just drips off the spoon there, and the flour that we put onto the meat has definitely thickened the sauce. Just be aware, obviously, that we've still got 2 star anise in there, so take those out because nobody needs to crunch down on one of those. So make sure that you take those out before you serve. And here it is, all served up. I've served it here with noodles, which I tossed through with some broccoli and a little bit of chilli. So in terms of calorie wise, the actual sauce itself is 433 calories per portion, but because I served mine with noodles, it was 624 calories. But you could easily just have a green vegetable like pak choy or something with that if you wanted to make it less calorific. Well, there you are. That's it done. Thanks so much for watching. I hope that you liked it, and if you did, please give it a big thumbs up. I'll leave the recipe down below, and if you do give it a go, just let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. If you're already a subscriber, thank you so much. It really means such a lot. And if you aren't and you want to see more recipes or shopping hauls or anything food related, please consider clicking subscribe and the notify button. It'd be great to have you with us. And I've got a food haul coming next, which is from Aldi and Tesco. Also, just to let you know that I've got an Instagram account which is @KitchenSpy. There I tend to do my daily meals and a little bit more about my life, I suppose. So if you're interested in that, I'll leave a link to that down below as well. Anyway, thanks again for watching. It's really great to have you here, and I hope to see you soon. Bye bye.